All right, thanks for everyone coming back in for our last discussion. This is the picture we took last year at our annual farmer gathering. We were at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, so the backdrop is pottery from all the pueblos. But yeah, you might see yourself in the picture. Yeah. So that's last year's picture. And I put that up there because, is it not? Thank you, Mike. Fix it. Because we want to just keep building each year who's coming, who's talking, who's connecting. Again, our method is relationship building, so we're hoping that's happening in these gatherings. But Patrick and I wanted to share this vision that we've been talking about in these discussions of this cooperative network. So kind of want to reflect back something Aisha said this morning, which is, as she's got that bird's eye view of the American Friends Service Committee, so many of our coworkers are fighting things that are really, violating human rights, and they're in war zones, and they're in some really tough places trying to change things. And then it's always fun that we get to talk about all this uplifting, life-giving work. And so that's our vision, is this idea of not a race to the bottom, but a cooperative where we're all supporting each other. We're not undercutting each other in the market. We're coming together so that we can, all of our farms do well, all of our kids get good food, that our food isn't just going to the high-end restaurants that can afford local, but that we're getting it to the schools and the daycares where low-income children are on the free and reduced lunch programs. And so it's this whole other vision of a cooperative lifting everyone up in our state with good food, and not pitting farmer against farmer. And one of the things we didn't really go into, because some of you have already done the training program is a cooperative method as well. So we're not training you to come out and compete against each other. We're training people to support each other. And I'm going to just point out the Chamizal guys again, because I love that you guys are almost like brothers, the way you presented yesterday, Matthew, Shane, and Nicanor, the way you're going to each other's farms to build them up. And when we did that in the South Valley, our first class graduated, they said, I feel like we're family after doing a year of building each other's farms. And they said, if anything ever happens to your farm, call me. And sure enough, one of the farms, Jeff's farm, someone took a knife to his cold frame all along the plastic, and there was a windstorm, and it just ripped it off. And they also opened the acequia compuertas and flooded the farm. It looked like a lake. And so I got a phone call about it, and I drove up to the farm, and Fidel had driven up, and Joseph had driven up, and like the whole community had come out for Jeff because it was this cooperative model. And we figured out what to do about his crops and how to fix the cold frame. And when people said, call me if something happens to your farm, it was real. Like by the time I got there, everybody was pulling up. So that's this model that we have in our training program that we try to build in. Don once said, though, a co-op is like getting married. So we don't force people to be in a co-op. So some people choose not to do that. But that's always our hope. So we want to talk today about that cooperative vision and what y'all are doing and how we can support that. And I don't know if Patrick wants to add some Marxist anti-capitalist theory, but I'm happy for that too if you want to. He always gets teased. What is it? People first tease you for looking like Che, and then it was like Fidel. Yeah, Fidel, right? Then it was the Taliban. Now it's just hipster. Poor guy.
and that hurts the most. That's my joke. First they said I was a communist, but people are ignorant. Then they said I was a terrorist, and people are scared. And they said I was a hipster, and that hurts, man. I'm not. So yeah, talking a little bit about the cooperative network. I think of Don, those words too, like forming a co-op is like getting married. So when we talk about collaborative or cooperative efforts, we don't necessarily mean you have to be a legally recognized cooperative. Although we support that. If that's what you guys want to do, that's a good way of doing business. But that is a particular way of doing business. So others, like the Agricultura Network, started out as an LLC. So there's just different ways of organizing ourselves. Um, the thing is, yeah, they tease me, but I'm really not, because I'm really not anti-capitalist. That's the funny thing is people will see, why do you hate business? Why do you hate money? No, we're actually training business people, and we're training this for economic development. So I don't understand that. It's just people hate the way they don't like where the message is coming from, I guess. But the reality is, so touching on this broader vision, it's been really nice to hear from everybody and where you're all coming from and what you're doing, because that helps us. I think that helps everybody in the room get to. So the whole point of this of getting together is just the relationship building. I know we've talked about this. All our work is relational, because like I like to say, New Mexico is a small town. You know, we're all family. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all family here. And so we have to behave like family and help each other. And so doing this cooperative network or walking down this road for a statewide cooperative network, we're not trying to be prescriptive. We're not trying to say this is what we want to see happen. What we're saying is that this is a way that we can strengthen the relationship among the different areas. I mean, we all know that New Mexico is it's a big state. And the areas are not only spread out geographically, but there's just the environmental conditions are different. And so there's different growing opportunities in the south than there are in the north, in the east and the west, all these areas. And so in that, there's different market opportunities, there's different growing opportunities. And so by strengthening the relationships that we have in the room here and growing that out, we can start to meet some of the demands. I mean, I know up in the mountains in Chamizal and far up north in Taos and Arroyo Hondo, all those, you guys can grow things that they can't grow even in the valleys. You know, we tried growing bolita beans that we got from there. Nada. Nothing. You know, the elevation is that's just too much. So there's things that you guys can grow up there that we can't grow in the valley. There's things that grow in the middle of Rio Grande. We have a longer growing season. In the south, completely different growing season. So there are ways that we can capitalize on that by having good relationships, good communication, and by working out the bugs of and the kinks of our distribution. We can start to really build out what everybody is talking about, like a regional and local food system. I just wanted to point out, I think it's a little bit funny and a little bit, I don't know if I use the word ironic, but I just like the coincidence that there is a broadline food distributor meeting happening right over here. And I think that speaks to the challenges that we were talking about earlier. And I think, I don't want to be so pointed, but every day you wake up, somebody's going to want to take something from you. And those distributors, I'm not saying that they're doing a bad thing, but what is needed is production. And we need production. And there's all these distributors that will come to you and say, just focus on growing, man. Let me worry about selling your product. Let me distribute it for you. I'll take a piece of that and maybe a little bit more. And then, because the supply and demand, look, this is all they're going to pay. So we need to work this out between me and you. I still got to get the importance of building up the capacity among the growers I think is paramount, in addition to growing the capacity of the producers. So anyway, I just wanted to lay that out. Like, this is not a prescriptive thing. This is something that we want to, we have heard. This is something we've heard from the community, from farmers, and it's something that we want to facilitate. But we don't want to. We're not being. It's not. We're not saying we're pushing this. But if this is something that people want to happen, this is something that we want to work with. So the following discussion is going to be a little bit about that. I don't know if that covered.
Thank you. One thing that Patrick and I have in common is we hate going to conferences where we're asked to play icebreakers that are children's games in order to get us into small groups. You ever go to those and they make you be silly or sing a song, or we hate that. So we're not going to do that to you. But we do want to break you into small groups for this discussion and not with the people you've already been talking to. So instead of having you do a silly icebreaker thing, we want to just go around for people to say their name again, so we all know each other's name, and what your favorite crop to grow. And we're going to group you by that, by what you have in common in terms of your favorite crop that you grow. And we'll go into small groups, and we've got 2 questions for you to answer in the small group and then come back. The 2 questions: how would a statewide farmer network help you? And then secondly, what would you need from that? What would you need to be part of it? What would you need to be in it? What would you need from it? And we touched on yesterday transportation and trucks. We've talked about inventories and knowing things. And so we're going to come back and talk about all those pieces. Shahid's brought up brokering, invoicing, admin. So people have begun already naming some of these things. But in your small groups, you can have a richer discussion. So I'm going to pass the mic. If you could say your name, maybe where you grow and what your favorite crop to grow, and we'll group you that way. So I'm going to start with Mario.
Well, Mario from Las Cruces, Nuevo Mexico, and my favorite thing to grow is lettuce.
Mi nombre es Victoria y a mí lo que me encanta es sembrar calabazas. O sea, me gozo al cosechar las calabazas y después también en hacer dulces de calabazas, perdón. Oh, disculpe. Sweet, dulces con miel, con honey. Bueno, con miel. Bueno, aquí no pasa lo siguiente.
Dios me lo bendiga a todos, ¿verdad? Pues yo le ayudo a mi esposa, ¿verdad?
May God bless you. I help my wife.
Le ayudo a mi esposa en lo que, pues allí en poquito, no mucho, ¿verdad? Porque pues yo tengo mis animales, como les acabé de decir ayer, tengo borregas, ¿verdad? Pero pues me gustan los animales, ¿verdad? Pero yo creo un poco tiempo más adelante, yo creo voy a dedicarme directamente con mi esposa.
And so right now I support my wife. I help her a little bit because as I mentioned yesterday, I have my animals that I take care of, but maybe eventually in the future I will be dedicating more to helping my wife more.
Me gusta la siembra, ¿verdad? Sí me ha gustado. Y quiero ayudarle a mi esposa en hacer más grande la cosecha.
I like to plant, I like growing, harvesting, and so I do want to focus on making it grow.
Hola, mi nombre es José López.
Hello, my name is Jose Lopez.
Y a mí no me gusta. Al contrario de todos, a mí no me gusta la agricultura, pero estoy aquí apoyando a mi esposa, y yo tengo otra clase de negocios.
To the contrary, I do not like agriculture, but I am here supporting my wife. I have a different type of business.
Sí, yo uso más mi tiempo, yo soy predicador y uso más mi tiempo estudiando la palabra, la Biblia, para hablarle a la gente, ¿verdad?
I am a preacher, so I use more of my time to preach and to talk to people about the gospel.
Pero ayudo a mi esposa cuando está muy apurada.
But I do support my wife when she's really busy.
Gracias y Dios les bendiga.
Thank you and may God bless you.
Me llamo Olivia y a mí, pues sí, la siembra siempre me ha encantado, pero
My name is Olivia and I have always liked to do agricultural work.
sí, a mí me gusta sembrar de todo, calabaza, pepino.
I love to plant everything. I
Sandías, melones.
Cucumbers, watermelons, squash.
Pues de todo lo que sea sembrar, a mí me encanta sembrar.
Everything that's about harvesting, I love planting everything.
Y sí, este año ya él se ha involucrado un poquito más ayudándome conmigo, pero probablemente.
And this year, he's been involved more. He's been helping me more in growing our crops.
Y pues bueno, pues eso es todo, ¿no? Ya saben que me gusta sembrar de todo.
Now that's it. And now you know that I like to grow everything.
See.
My name is Shahid Mustafa. I grow in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and my favorite thing to grow is carrots.
My name is John Naranjo. My Indian name is Tsikumuping. That's a sacred mountain that we have. 10,500 feet or something. It means Arrowhead Mountain, or the spear that goes through the mountain. I like to grow a variety of different fruits and vegetables as well. I don't know, I like beans. My middle name is Beans, so I guess beans, there's a variety of them. But I'm a part of the corn clan from Hopi, and our corn seems to do pretty well every year. Chili, melons, cucumbers, tomatoes. Yeah. 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 Thanks. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, do you grow?
My name is Tawana Yepa. I'm from Jemez, Pueblo. My favorite crop, I don't know, I like to grow everything as well. I like fruit trees, like when they're flowering. I really like that. But I think maybe I don't have experience growing that yet, but I think my favorite thing to grow is probably chard, rainbow chard, because it's really pretty, and I like that you can harvest the leaves at different stages and that they grow back, and like seeing the little ones coming back up after you harvest.
Hello, my name is Eileen Shendo. I'm from Jemez, and I grew up growing a lot of the traditionals, like the melons, chilies, stuff like that, corn. What I really liked growing, because I'm a new grower, this past season with these guys, was okra. I love fried okra from Furs, and I've never seen it grown. I've never seen it just sitting there. And I love yellow flowers. So when I saw it blooming, this like yellow looking rose, I'm like, oh my God. And it was the one plant, I think the high school students, they just like probably got tired of me, because I'm like, have you seen okra? Do you see what okra looks like? And I would like take them these things, and then when we took them to the field, I kept like bringing them by the okra. So that was like the best thing to grow, because like I said, I'd only seen it fried in a bowl with some ranch before that.
I'm Nick. I'm from Jemez, and I like growing tomatoes. Yeah.
I'm Dale. I also live in Jemez. And my favorite thing to grow is different types of greens.
Sofia Martinez from Wagon Mountain in the South Valley of Albuquerque, and I'm attached to my northern New Mexico crop. So La Calabacita Mexicana is like a sister to me, and I love the plums that grow in Wagamama, which are the Italian purple plums. So those are my kind of two favorite crops because they're kind of family things, and I'm very attached to my family. And my crops.
Good morning. I'm Nicanor Ortega. I'm from Arroyo Hondo. It's north of Taos, 7 miles. And my favorite thing to plant and grow is fruit trees. Since I was young, my dad always made me help him water trees, and I remember not liking it. And then I remember one summer it just clicked, and I got it, you know. And he was all happy because, well, he's been watering a lot of trees and he needs my help. So now he had a motivated partner instead of just like a regular kid being in the way or not helping. And so that's my favorite thing to plant and grow and to take care of and to see transform. But I grow a lot of sweet peas, arvejon, chicharros, como dicen, and several legumes and sunflowers. So I'm really just trying to get my soil ready for the orchard that I want to grow. But turns out that you can make money off of arvejon y frijoles. So I'm doing that on the way too, and glad everybody's here. And yeah, thank you. There you go.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all a second day. I'm Shane Tolbert. I'm in Abiquiu, New Mexico, and I've really found the greatest joy in cultivating greens, lettuce, arugula, kale, chard, you name it. That's just turned into a passion of mine.
I hope everybody knows me already. You know, my name's Matthew. Well, I grow. Well, my farm is in Chimayo, but I grow in Santa Fe, Arroyo Hondo, Abiquiu. I grow everywhere. But I like to grow everything. But I think my favorite crops to grow, just because of my little monster. You know what I mean? That little short 6-year-old. You know. When I took her to the garden, the first thing she went after was berries. So I think, you know, raspberries and strawberries are probably one of my most favorite things to grow, just because of my little girl, you know. But yeah, thank you.
Hello, my name's Edward. Everybody knows me by Bardo. I live in Chamizal. We grow in Chamizal a variety of things, but my favorite fruit to grow is potatoes.
I'm Mabel from San Pedro in the Espanola Valley, and my favorite thing that we grow is peaches.
Hi, I'm Steve Jaramillo from San Pedro in the Espanola Valley, and my favorite thing to grow is carrots.
My name is Gene Lopez, and I'm a used-to-be apple grower. And I was a treasurer for the New Mexico Apple Council until we started getting these late freezes where kind of wiped us out with the apple business. Right now I have a cooler that'll hold 1,000 boxes of apples. And I was thinking, why don't we put vegetables in there? But we need 1,000 boxes of vegetables. And right now, I don't think so. The most vegetables I've seen is maybe 5 or 6 at a time. And what I was thinking, and I've talked to Patrick, is putting in some smaller coolers. We had an experience at the college where we had a cooler and we were doing really good. Every year we would increase our production. But then when they took the coolers away from us, our production went down. So I think we need coolers, and we don't need big coolers. That cooler that I have, that thing cost us $400 to $450 a month to run. I don't think we can afford that. So I think the key to our vegetable production is to have small coolers. And these greenhouses or hoop houses, whatever you want to call them, is an opportunity for us to start planting early. And we can finish our crop late, and that'll extend our growing season. But we have to get with it. You know, we can't just say, I'm going to plant. We have to actually do it to make it work. We can dream all we want to, but we can eat dreams. So that's where I'm from.
My name is Becca. I'm from the Mountain View Community Garden, and I would say my favorite thing to grow, even though we're not doing so well this year, would be cucumbers and lemon cucumbers. I love lemon cucumbers.
Okay, we have one more, una más persona.
Sí, muy buenos días. Mi nombre es María Elena y vivo
Good
en
morning, my name is Maria Elena,
y vivo en el South Valley.
and I live in the South Valley.
Y yo lo que produzco es, tengo gallinas. Tenía como 1000, pero ya me quedé con 300. Y también produzco los vegetales. Siembro el espárrago como unas 1200 plantas y el resto.
Produce, it's chickens. I have about
Ahora tengo como 300.
I have about 300 chickens, but I also grow greens. I have asparagus.
Como unas 1200 plantas y del resto es de toda variedad de vegetales.
I have about 1,200 plants of asparagus, and then the rest, it's all kinds of varieties of plants.
De todo. Ocra, zanahoria, pepino, chile.
Okra, carrots, chili,
Repollo,
cabbage,
ajo, cebolla,
garlic, onions,
calabacita,
squash,
beans, corn. No es, es solamente de 3%, pero todo lo he hecho a base de internet. No he tenido yo un entrenamiento, yo estoy sola, es primera vez que asisto a una reunión como estas.
and it's only about 3 times 100. I've done everything on my own. I've done it just learning through the internet. This is the first time that I attend a meeting like this.
Y más o menos lo que tengo en terreno, pienso que es como un acre. Todos son 5 acres, pero solo separé como un acre para plantar los vegetales.
And I have my place, it's about 1 acre. In total, it's about 5 acres, but I actually divided just 1 acre for the planting.
Porque yo no sé cómo crecer más y quiero hacer solamente lo que yo lo puedo hacer.
And I don't know how to grow more, and I just want to grow whatever I can do on my own.
Como por ejemplo tenía cabras y las estoy vendiendo ya todas por la misma razón que no sabía qué hacer con tanta leche. Ya también estoy vendiendo la última vaquita.
I also had goats, but I'm selling those. I just didn't know what to do with all that milk. Now I'm selling my last cow.
Y con esto yo hacía el kéfir, el yogur, el queso, todos los días lo hago.
And so with
Y es
all
para
of-
regalarlo nada más.
And with all of that, I was making cheese and kefir and yogurt, and I do all that just to give it away.
Gracias, Maria Elena. So I think what I'm hearing sort of is 4 groups, around 5 people. I heard fruit, So if you named fruit, there were multiple people that named fruit. I heard greens, so I heard different types of greens and lettuces. I heard root crops, carrots, potatoes, root crops. And then I heard animales y todos, animals, everything. People who like everything. Does that sound good for groups? And pick your group, but let's put fruit over here in this corner where John and Patrick are. We'll put fruit there. We'll put greens maybe back here. We'll put roots over here and everything over here. And hopefully our translators can sit with folks. So you have 20 minutes to talk about these 2 questions, dos preguntas. How, they're up there. How would a statewide farmer network help you? What would you need to be part of it? So 20 minutes, pick a group, pick a table.
The man mentioned that not a lot of it's just our fresh food in that place. They have all kinds of stuff to make those truck stops worth it. Those deliveries, those statewide deliveries. So if we could tap into that market as well a little better, and you wanna check out the rest?
We're talking about group problem solving. One part of the state has a problem. Maybe the other part of the state has a solution for that other part, and vice versa. We're also talking about advocacy. There we go. Advocacy statewide. So, like I know in my group they were talking about, I can't go to Santa Fe or I can't go to the South. But if we do a statewide statement in our local courts and local public places, statewide as a group, but, there has to be an effort, and that's what we'll get into the other part, Then value-added products, peer-to-peer learning. So that would be a good way to see maybe I'm having trouble with carrots. Like yesterday, I said I was having trouble with carrots. Thank you, everybody, by the way. But yeah, you guys showed me, and that's what we need. We need people, when I'm having trouble with carrots, you guys have solutions, or you guys are having trouble with lettuces or whatever. We have the peer-to-peer. Okay, and then what we would need to be part of it. Does that work? Centralized infrastructure. Yeah, that's what it is. So like they said in Espanol, they had a centralized infrastructure. But I think we need more of those everywhere. So, yeah.
Yeah, it would also, what would you need to be a part of, what would it need to have to help you in having access to some kind of, for your region, because South and the Mid and the Norte, it's pretty far spread out. So like each having our own perspective infrastructure to have access to as far as distribution, maybe cooling, and then also that goes into the marketing. I mean, the marketing support is one of the points that we put for that. It would definitely need to be a strong market support. So that way we're all tapped into the same one and have different ideas and products that we can sell. Oh, okay. And it would have to have a good communication platform, some kind of system set so we're all on the same page communicating, and it's as a whole the idea of the statewide network is producing some kind of connection for us to all be on the same page, and because there's a lot of miscommunication between all kinds of different farms in one organization. Some of us have emails, some of us are always on the phone, or some of us really don't want to talk to anybody because all I do is I'm outside all morning. I'm not trying to go inside and answer the phone or send an email. So some kind of communication platform that we could all tap into in our own various techniques of doing that. So that way we can all be a part of this and function. Yeah, communication.
All right, I'll pass the mic. This way. How about there's the roots group?
Sure. All right, I don't know if we followed instructions properly, but we had some good conversation, and I think I can tie into what we're supposed to be answering. We talked about some of the things that would help us be more productive in terms of soil amendment and how we can share information around that. And I guess we did a little bit. And then if I was to, I guess, from what we talked about, answer the question of what you would need to be part of a statewide network, I think some of the information around seasonal availability, so we can determine what, if we said carrots or potatoes, how long we would have that available to make it to the market. And I think carrots, if we worked collectively, we probably could produce carrots for all but about 1 month of the year, and they store, so probably all year long we could have carrots. It's just a matter of kind of coordinating production. I know in the South, I can sell carrots every week, whether it's with bunches or whether it's roots, to like table carrots to juice bars and places like that. So kind of logistically, how do we get carrots from the north to the south in the summer, and then vice versa? How do we get some of those early carrots that we can produce throughout the rest of the state? And we just, we're talking about roots. So, I mean, but that goes for everything. The same is applicable to greens. We could sell those all summer long. We could sell greens if you could grow them, but we can't grow them. They look beautiful, but it tastes like aspirin. Like the bitterness is so high. So if we could get that from you, there's a market for it that we could sell throughout those summer months, And then we can produce squash early. I would suggest we produce squash early and late. I'm moving away from the idea of growing squash in the summer because I'm just hanging out with squash bugs all. They beat me, literally. Yeah, they do. And then what was the other question? What would we need? Oh yeah, I guess we need some trucks and maybe an app, some way to communicate, or having a plan, annual plan, like who do we need to grow what when, so we can have availability for as long as we need it to take advantage of all the market opportunity. Because we were saying, people never stop eating; they keep eating, no matter what. So if we can continue to have availability, we can stay in those markets. Is when we lose the markets, this is my experience, when you lose the market, you have to rebuild the market every year, even if it's the same customer. You have to go through the same process of, hey, it's me again, I have this great product you love, and go back and forth on price, and then you keep starting over and over. So if we can have like perpetual availability somehow through this network, I think that's where our opportunities are. Charge.
Well, we'll talk about like the kind of same stuff. I think the key is communication and planning. For example, I'm gonna put Shahid on the spot because he have a van, refrigerator van. So we're talking about maybe if we in the South can make a sale of, let's say, $1,000 in Albuquerque, we can bring it, and then we can take back to the South $1,000 in produce, or I don't know, maybe berries, and sell it in the South. And that way we can split the cost of gas and the driver. That's just an idea.
Yeah, and to build on what Mario and our table was discussing, there's a lot of overlap with the other tables, and I think it comes back to what Patrick was discussing about self-empowerment. So if we can control these systems by staying organized statewide with what we're capable of growing at various times of the season, we can maintain that market share and actually compete with larger growers. We mainly just tried to figure out creating like a rhizome of different cold storage locations throughout the state. That's what Tawana kept bringing up, is we still need that infrastructure to exist for us to be consistent. And I think that's what we came to. Thank you.
One question: who use WhatsApp? Yeah. It's a few. Okay. That's it.
All right, thank you so much. Maria and I took notes on what people said so we can look back at that as AFSC. One thing Alan reminded me of at the break is that the Thornburg Foundation funded a software program called the Mayordomo software program through Agricultura Network. And my understanding of the program, and I don't know if Lauren uses it, hey y'all from Agricultura. Thanks for coming. I know you had stuff going on this morning. Or maybe, Sophia, I don't know if you use the Mayordomo system, but it's there. So we invited Jedrick to come and speak, and not a good day for him to come, but my understanding of the software system is farmers input through an iPhone or through your phone. Yeah, through an app, so a phone with an app, because you all were talking about communication and how would you know what people have, and this Mayordomo software would do that. So if you had an ability to put the app on your phone, it's free because the Thornburg Foundation funded it, then you could enter what you're expecting in terms of crop yield, when you planted it, things like that, so we could begin. It's a communication mechanism that could be used. So, yeah, Alan brought that to my attention. Do you want to say more on that? Real quick.
I mean, really quickly, the concept is really just to allow for that aggregation that you guys have been identifying, and this is something that was brought to us. This was an idea that came from farmers, and I know it's been going through a test phase to try and improve it, make it simpler, very, very easy to use, and then also the next phase, if I'm not mistaken, is to also connect so that buyers could be able to put up, hey, we have a contract that we want to put up here, and we need to essentially connect that back to farmers so farmers could organize for themselves, hey, we'd like to go together on going after this contract.
So we will try to incorporate at another time maybe a training if people were interested on that software system, because it was developed by farmers that are part of Agricultura Network who have been at these gatherings, who've heard this conversation over the years, and then got funding to make an app, and that was a whole big thing to get software folks to actually create it. So do people here have a way to download an app? I'm just curious, your WhatsApp question. Do people have iPhones that, well, no, I'm sorry, not just iPhone, any phone that takes an app, smartphone.
How would our older folk that don't know how to access these smartphones be able to do it? You know what I mean? So that's where
it's a limitation, definitely. I have no idea how to download an app. My daughter does it. She knows my password. I don't know my password to put an app on my phone. So yes, there's a limitation for folks. So it's not, it's not going to fix it all. But I wanted to raise that up, that some farmers worked on that.
Network also has, which I'm not too sure because, like I said, we're not there at the budgeting stage. But they've also, with some funding, developed like a farmer's bookkeeping system, no? So I think that the Agricultura Network can kind of help share some of those things. Maybe next year they could actually plan for it more and be part of that, just because just like the SAP is there, so is that bookkeeping model or system. It could or could not work for people, but at least it's there so that people could look at it, no?
And there was another group that hasn't spoken yet. I apologize, I was watching time, gave you all 2 minutes, and you guys are great at sharing. So let's make sure this group shares too.
Okay, I was chosen by them to be their spokesperson. So I was not going to let it pass, because that's my other hat, being an advocate. And so they actually talked about how being part of a network can help them. And they said it would open communication with other people who farm, with other farmers, Also, they would get orientation based on other people's own experiences in farming because they're just fairly new doing this. They also said that it could help them to sell their products at fair prices. And they also said that they would have a support system so that it would cut back on isolation and just, and they said, somos los olvidados de Chaparral. We are the forgotten ones from Chaparral. And then you forgot to get them to talk. And so she said, see, we're the forgotten ones. They said that what they need to be part of this, they said transportation issues. They talked more about what would they need in order to be part of a network like this. And they said they would need transportation going to and from if they had any meetings. Also, I guess help with the transportation in terms of their crops. They also talked about language barriers and how to break those language barriers in meetings, in communicating with other people about selling their crops and things like that. They also talked about financial assistance. They talked about financial assistance, doing the planting and all that stuff, but also as they attend these kinds of meetings, they need to move away from their jobs. And so then that means that they're not generating an income, they're not generating money to pay for their bills, and so something that would help them with that. Also, they said they would need training to learn about what it means to be part of a network and what would it be, the responsibilities that it would take for them to be part of this network.
Thank you so much. That was very helpful, and we would not have wanted to miss all the good things that came from this discussion that I think others didn't mention. You mentioned things that no one else brought up, so thank you. And I'm sorry that I'm looking out at the room and not right in front of my computer. So these are helpful for us to reflect on. There are materials on the table out there if anybody needs a farmer training manual. We have them in English and Spanish. We also have food safety manuals in English and Spanish, so if you need them, they're there. And we also have more resources on our website. Let me show you that. So there's our website up there. There's a lot of resources there. We try to have most things in 2 languages if we can. Tawana has a question, then we have lunch in a couple of minutes.
I was just wondering, like, as far as like a statewide network goes, and it was mentioned like storage facilities is an important thing, but I was wondering what the like the washing facilities look like for like the different co-ops that are already existing, because I'm not sure how Agricultura Network operates, but I remember just through my experience at the South Valley Economic Development Center that they were using that like as a hub to drop their produce off to get washed. And so, and I know I've been through that whole process, and I know it takes a lot of time. So when you're talking about like increasing your production and being able to fill the needs of the demand that's happening in the market, then the time of being able to prep all that produce kind of larger and larger amounts kind of, I mean, I'm starting to think about that. So I'm wondering, is it like what might be the best way for small farms to handle that? Like, is it better for you to like set your own system up at your own place, and then you have to hire people maybe to come do that? Or has it been a better experience to like drop, like have, like how at the Economic Development Center, how, I mean that's essentially what they're doing there too, is they're dropping off their produce to get prepped. So
that's a great question of Tawana's. In 2008, AFSC went to the South Valley Economic Development Center and asked if we could use them as a food hub. They weren't at that point doing what they do now. They agreed, and they agreed to give us a big discount, which was a big part of our project. And the ACN has continued to use the kitchen It helps that the farms are all within like a mile or two of that kitchen, and it has created jobs, and we've given tours of that as part of the statewide gathering so people could understand that whole program. So it worked well for the South Valley in terms of how close the farms are. It was a good partnership. The price has gone way up. I'm kind of shocked how much now it costs for them to use it, because I was used to the deal that we had made at AFSC. In the north, and Stephen alluded to this, AFSC got a contract with the college because they had a commercial kitchen. They were more spread out, but they still had that central place. It was not farmer controlled. The college breached the contract with us, gave it to another group that didn't use it. And so we learned from that we'd rather have farmer-controlled infrastructure. So yesterday, one of the pictures we showed was that AFSC has begun building cold storage. So we built one at Bardo's place in Chamizal so that the farmers could control the infrastructure, not be dependent on a group that might raise the price up really high because of their overhead, or just take it away like what happened at the college. So we're sort of exploring this idea that Tawana has brought to us. Is it better to centralize, make sense in an urban setting? Does it make sense when you're really spread out to have one place? It might. We tried that in the north. But we really found that farmers having some control over their infrastructure is pretty important for them to be able to keep it. So we're working on that. So I mentioned we've built more than 30 passive solar cold frames. We're now starting to do farmer-controlled cold storage.
I think it would also be studying where you're at, because some spots might be more beneficial to have a central location for your cold storage, and other spots are more spread out, so you might have to have multiple cold storage in certain areas. So I think by us communicating more and studying our landscapes and studying our regions will help us determine which one should we go. Should we go centralized or should we go multiple? And that's just time consuming. That's the way I feel it would go down.
Anything else that people want to share that we can take back and think through? It sounds like there's a lot of interest in being part of a network, that people see real benefits in it, but there's also a lot of challenges on how would that work. And one thing I wanted to add, because it came up earlier, was the admin part that Shahid brought up. Like, what, and Sophia brought it up too, like farmers aren't always people that want to be doing the admin part, right? And that's not where you should have to be. You should be able to farm and have that admin support.
Well, you're not here picking up the stuff from the farmers and the farm. And I was like, so it's those kinds of things too, no? Si no está uno en el jardín, no se les hace que están haciendo el trabajo. But, part of the work is the bookkeeping and then administrative. And I think, it's kind of getting that balance in the farm too, that just because you're working on the ranch or on the farm doesn't mean that the administrative isn't as valuable, or that the administrative can't get their hands dirty either, right? So it's both of those things. But I wanted to ask too about the carrots, because in Wagon Mound, the kids were asking for our carrots because the commodities gives the school all this carrots, so they're not buying our carrots because they get like hundreds of pounds from the commodities. So the only reason we ended up selling carrots is because the kids liked our carrots, and they told the cafeteria, when we want the carrots that smell good. So we so we got some, but in general they won't buy them from us because they've got too much of it. No, so I was just wondering if that's an issue. And then another thing that was kind of interesting, and we haven't looked into it, but whenever I go to Wagamon and the safety inspectors are there, they call me and they tell me, wait until they're gone. So I don't know, and I'm not too, I haven't done the requirements, so I'm wondering, am I supposed to hide when the inspector is at the school, even because I'm bringing them vegetables from the farm? It's so those are questions of how to get it together. Like with the Agricultura Network, they wash our leafy greens and we wash our roots in our particular areas. So I'm not all familiar with what goes in that, but I am kind of like, what do you mean you don't want me at the school just because the inspector's here? And then I get feeling like, am I doing something illegal, or
That's a great question. So another thing that AFSC had addressed based on your feedback was food safety. So we created that food safety manual that's on the table, and we've trained people on the same standards. That way, if your food moves across the state, everyone's using the same food safety standards. And that was a way to avoid those really heavy federal regulations that would put you out of business. So that was the response we had there.
Okay, hi everybody. Sorry I was late for the groups. We were, I was farming. So I just kind of wanted to address two of the things that I heard, and one is the first one with Tawana. And it was like, so I've just experienced with like working with everybody is if you can like make your wash station and keep and it be able to pass the regulations that we have, that's the best way. This especially this year, I'm pulled off the farm so much. I'm not really farming. I'm doing so much of admin and running around that, you start to get lost up in it. But if it was just there on the farm, if we could, and we can't, where we're farming on the Chavez site, we can't have like any built there. But if I don't have to leave, if I could go pick all my stuff, wash it like at your place, and then and not have to transport, because it becomes cost. But then we're talking about, all right, how do I get 100 pounds of carrots washed? And then that comes into those 1,000 steps that Patrick told me about, because that's those thousands. The planning is a farm plan. How many people do I need to wash 100 pounds of carrots and stuff like that? And for me, it's been real huge this season of learning how to do that. And the second one, the thing that I've run into working with the schools is if they're having you hide and stuff, they're not really supposed to get it from you because of their contracts. And in their contracts, they're always within a budget. So what we've run into a lot, and even with because we sell to MDC, is it's too expensive. The organic food is just too expensive that they can go to somewhere else and get it cheaper. But at least they're getting your carrots in there. That's the huge thing, is that the kids are starting to know the difference between, hey, these commodity carrots don't smell right, and like, hey, like there's something going on here, And I think that's a huge thing. And you know what? I think I started this kind of like guerrilla farming, I always felt, and if I have to sneak my carrots into schools, I'll sneak my carrots into schools. So that's just what I've experienced.
I feel like Lauren just came up with maybe a possible name, Guerrilla Farming Network or something. Lunch is going to be served now. Oh, Maria, do you know, is it at 12:30? So we can keep having these conversations around lunch and then come back in at 1:30 for the last half hour. But I wanted to share before you go to lunch, because we really listen and appreciate the feedback. We want to take it somewhere. A couple years ago, people said they wanted more than one statewide farmer gathering a year. So the Kellogg Foundation agreed to fund 3 gatherings a year, which is awesome, because people said we need more of this. So what we thought we'd do is 2 regional, so that there could be like a regional gathering, and then an annual. And I miss what Sophia's joke was. I know. So we want to look for dates that work well, like maybe winter dates to do that. But I want you to know this isn't the last time. We will do a regional gathering in your region to start figuring out these systems, and then come back for another statewide. So we're appreciative of that funding, because we got that feedback from you all that it sucks to be pulled from the farm, but we kept being told we need more time to be with each other to work this out. So we need to figure out how to make that work. I'm hearing from Chaparral the financial assistance that might be needed, the language barriers. So there's things we need to do to make it happen, and we really want to hear that and do that. So let's have lunch, keep talking about this, and then we'll have this last wrap up when you come back in the room at 1:30. We'll be in Bear Room again. Thanks. We wanted to do this closing. I know some folks are wrapping up their surveys. It's so beautiful outside. We've been inside, and you're all people whose work brings you outside. So we wanted to gather people outside in a circle to say goodbye to each other. This has been a great 2 days. This is going to be the hardest part for a lot of people. We're going to go outside and stand out there in a circle and ask you to say one word, uno palabra, that would sum up how you felt about being together this last day and a half. So, but that's the hard thing. You have to think of a word. That way everyone could just speak for a moment, and that will be we can have a closing blessing. But I've really appreciated that you would take so much time out of your fields to be with us, to be building this together. It's been really beautiful time together. So we wanted to have a nice way to close it out and say goodbye. So let's come on out to the patio for a moment and stand and face each other in a circle. Silencio, to just be quiet and just kind of listen to the earth that we're here in this place.
Tener un momento de silencio para ponernos acuerdo adentro del grupo y también con nosotros mismos.
Anyone have a word they want to share?
Si tienen una palabra que quieren compartir con cómo se siente una palabra, cómo se siente de este encuentro.
Gusto de conocerlos a todos.
Camaraderie.
La convivencia.
Agradecido.
Strengthened.
Skin on.
We're just sharing a word that expresses our feelings about the last 2 days. Just one word.
Sharing.
Inspiration.
Gratitude. Connected.
Paz. Peace.
Amistad.
Divine.
Fellowship.
Reawakened.
What was that?
Reawakened.
Blessed.
Growth.
Community.
Potential.
Blessed.
Hungry.
Grateful.
Was that everyone?
Did we leave anybody out?
Thank you.
I wonder if we could ask the Reverend to bless us.
Yes.
Okay. Spanish. English. Spanish.
Español.
Ok. Vamos a inclinar nuestras cabezas y decimos gracias, Dios, por bendecir, Señor, nuestras vidas, Señor, en este lugar, Padre, por esta convivencia, Señor, por este gozo de estar juntos, Señor, aprendiendo, Padre, y conviviendo con cada uno de estas personas, Padre, que tú has puesto, Señor, en nuestros caminos, Señor, con los cuales, Padre, hemos conectado, Señor, y nos sentimos contentos, Señor, de poder prosperar en nuestras vidas, Señor, porque tú nos has ayudado y nos has guiado a hacer este trabajo, Señor, y a ser prósperos en nuestras vidas, Padre. Yo te ruego por cada uno de ellos, Padre, por cada persona que asistió y que está presente en este momento, Señor, en este lugar, Padre, que tú bendigas sus vidas en todas sus cosas que hace, Señor, en su hogar, Señor, en sus negocios, Padre, prospérale sus negocios, Padre, sus trabajos, el trabajo de sus manos, Señor, prospéraselos, Padre. Ayúdalos, Señor, a llegar también de regreso a sus hogares, Padre, con bien a cada uno. Yo te lo ruego en el nombre de Jesús. Amén.
Amén. No, I don't think so. If anybody wants to talk about mileage stuff, to come and talk to me.
I need $100.
We can all relate.
Well, that's a very smart answer.
That's a couple of $1,000, you know, $100.
Yeah, but yeah, we have a little pot for some mileage. It pays 14 cents a mile, so.
Okay, cool.
But you know, whatever you can. Okay.
Came from
Did you get all the evaluations?
Chimay.
Oh, and I need all the evaluations. Yeah, I know some people still were writing when we came out. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.